we measure children, it's important that they are sitting up nice and straight, that they're symmetrical as possible, and that their hips, knees, and ankles are all at 90 degrees. So the first measurement we take is back to the end of his knee. (33). We always measure both sides because often one side will be different from the other. And I'll always measure twice. The next measurement we take, measurement 2, is the seat width. 25. Measurement 3, measurement C, is from the base of the seat to the floor, where he's resting his feet. Measurement D is the width across here. Measurement E is from underneath his armpit to the seat. Measurement F is to the base of his skull. Measurement G is used to determine where to position the pre-seat bone shelf. The pre-seat bone shelf needs to be just in front, 2 to 4 centimetres in front of the sitting bones. To find the sitting bones and make that measurement, you put your finger in, find the sitting bones, bring your finger out and measure that distance. If the child is unable to sit for you to do the measurements, then you need to lie the child down and hold his legs in the same sort of position. So his hip is at 90 degrees, the knee is at 90 degrees, and the ankle is at 90 degrees. You then proceed to do the measurements in the same manner. The pelvic supports can come out. They can go up and down. If the child is very small, the pelvic supports can be set up to be in front. They can rotate. If the legs are going out to the side, you can extend this bit so that they give the leg a bit more support. This is the seat cushion. It goes in like this. And clips to the back. It is made up of a water-resistant stretchable material and 3 layers of foam. The top layer of foam is soft and a comfort layer. The bottom layer is hard to give more support. Then this middle is the seat shelf, and it's used to stop children slipping forward. If the child doesn't need it, then you take it out and just use these 2 shelves. If the child does need it, you use measurement G to determine how long it has to be and where to position it. This is the backrest cushion. It is placed over the chair with the envelope. And then tied on. If a lumbar support is required, you can use a spare piece of foam, measure and cut it, place it within the seat cushion in here. Before we attach the seat base to the chassis, we check that the measurements are correct. The child needs to have a small amount of space between his knee and the seat. We're going to set up the wheel as we have on this side. Take off the bolts. Out with the nuts. Take the brake handle off, turn it around and put it on the other side. The long bolt goes in the hole to locate it. And the small bolt goes in the hole and we tighten that up. The groove shows the centre where the bolt is, where the centre of the bolt is. So that little groove should be at the centre of that bolt. We fully tighten that one up. We then take this out and put the wheel on. First you have the bolt, goes through the wheel. Next is the spacer. Then it goes through the brake, the chassis, and then the washer. The seat sits on the chassis like this. To do that, we take out these bolts and place the seat, the bolts through these holes. First the bolt goes in. Then the washer. And then tighten the nut. Same for the other side. It is important that we tighten the bolts equally on each side. Next, we're going to install the footrest assembly. To do this, you need to undo these nuts and take out this long bolt. You then tighten up all the nuts. Just finger tight. We then have to determine what angle of tilt we want. Do we want 4 degrees, 8 degrees, or 12 degrees? The hole that we use will determine that. So if we want 4 degrees, we'll use the bottom hole, 8 degrees, the next hole, and 12 degrees, the top hole. You can also put the bolt in above the chassis to get even greater tilt. In this occasion, we are going to do an 8-degree tilt. So I'm going to use the 5th hole on the footrest adjustment, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and go through the middle hole on the chassis to give me 8 degrees tilt. We need to tighten up this bolt. And the end cap placed on so that children don't scratch their legs. Next, we need to adjust the footrest height. This is measured from the top of the seat to the footrest. We need to take this lower, so to do that, we take out these bolts here, and we'll be putting them into the holes down here. The footrests are very adjustable. You can set one footrest higher than the other for children who have unequal length legs. You can have them down as low as the lowest point. You can have them up to as high as here. If they need to be in line with the chassis, you will need to take this bolt out, replace it with this one, and have it going through the footrest, like so. If this is a very small child, then what you can do is take the foot plates off, swap them around. So you will swap the foot plate and you will have this foot plate on this one, and you can turn it around so it sits up here. To replace the foot plates, you have the bolt, goes in the bottom hole, then the spacer, then the bolt. At this point, you determine what sort of tilt you want on the foot plates. You can have the tilt going from that angle by placing the bolt into this hole to up to this angle by placing it in that hole. For a neutral position, you place the bolt in the centre hole. Don't forget the spacer. Measure to see that you're accurate. And then tighten up your bolts. Further adjustments can be made to the footrest by bringing the foot forward. So for a child with longer feet, this can come forward. If the child doesn't need the straps to keep the feet in place for a reason, then take the straps off, remove them. To finish off, we tighten up these bolts. We need to tighten them at the end so that we have the flexibility down here when we're doing this work. Measurement 4 for the child was 25 across and 32 down. So we set up the trunk supports at the back with the bolt going through at the front. And tighten with a washer and nut. If a headrest is required, we use measurement 6, which is 49 centimetres for Anthony, and you put the bolt through the back seat, through the spacer, and then through the headrest hole at the appropriate height. The headrest is positioned so that the foam is at the base of the skull. If the child is very small and their head is down here, that piece of foam will need to come out. We'll just remove that piece of foam. Additional support can be given to the child by placing these on the headrest. They can be positioned lower or higher. Try not to have them impeding the eyesight. They can also be bent out if wanted. The headrest can go back with this mechanism. It can position back, or it can come forward. The harness is only used if necessary. If the child is able to sit by themselves, the harness should not be used. If the harness is used, the lower straps go into the second hole. And the top straps come into the back strut. The harness should be adjusted so it's firm but not too tight. If a child tends to cross his legs, a knee separator may be needed. The knee separator slides in to this position. To position the tray higher or lower, you have the option of going into this one this one, or you can take this holder and put it down the bottom so the tray can go as low as that position. To move the tray forward and backwards, the locators can go backwards, or you can change the position of these bolts in these holes here so that the tray can go forwards and backwards. Once we have adjusted the chair fully, we go through the checklist. Are the pelvic supports in the right position? Are they firm but not too tight? Are the thighs sitting comfortably on the chair? Is there just a small gap between the seat base and the child's knee? Are the knees at 90 degrees? Is the pelvic strap firm but not too tight? Are the buckles covered by the padding? Does the child have a lumbar support if that is required? If the pre-seat bone shelf is not needed, is it removed? And is it in the correct place if it's still in there? Is the trunk upright and symmetrical as possible? If the harness is required, is it fitted firmly but not too tight? Is the padding over the shoulders? Have you got the correct tilt for the wheelchair? Is the headrest in the right position? It should usually support the head from the base of the skull. Are the side supports on if they are required? Is vision blocked as least as possible? Is the knee separator in position if required? It should be 4 centimetres away from the groin area, at least. Is the footrest position in the right place? Are the knees at 90 degrees and the ankles at 90 degrees if possible? Are the feet fully supported on the foot plates? Are the foot straps done up correctly, or are they removed if they're not required? Is the rear wheel position in the right position if the child is able to self-propel? Just pretend that the axle should be under the shoulder.